Tonight, we will drift slowly across the largest living space on Earth, the ocean. These 100 facts move from sunlit waves to the deepest trenches, from microscopic plankton to blue whales, and from ancient seafloors to modern exploration. Before we begin, picture a shoreline at the quietest hour of night. The horizon has almost disappeared, and the water seems to breathe beneath a dark sky. Each small wave carries a reflection for a moment, then folds it back into the sea. Far beyond the beach, currents are crossing entire ocean basins. Microscopic organisms are rising through the twilight zone. Whales are listening through hundreds of kilometers of water, and hot mineral fluid is flowing from cracks in the seafloor that no human eye can see from above. The ocean is vast enough to make familiar ideas feel strange. Mountains can remain completely submerged. Snow can fall for years without reaching land. Light can be made by living bodies, while entire communities can grow without energy from the sun. Yet this hidden world is also close to us. It shapes weather, stores heat, carries oxygen and carbon, and touches every continent without interruption. There is nothing you need to remember tonight. Let the details pass gently, like distant lights under the surface. Some facts may form clear pictures. Others may fade into the background as sleep arrives. Settle in, breathe slowly, and let each fact arrive like a quiet wave. Between every fact, there will be a calm pause, never longer than 15 seconds, so there is room to imagine the water without losing the thread of the story. The ocean covers more than 70% of Earth's surface. From space, our planet therefore looks blue rather than brown or green. All named oceans are connected, so scientists often speak of one global ocean divided into several great basins. About 97% of all water on Earth is held in the ocean. Most of the remaining water is locked in glaciers, ice caps, groundwater, lakes, rivers, living things, and the atmosphere. Only a very small fraction is readily available freshwater. The Pacific is the largest and deepest ocean basin. It covers roughly 162 million square kilometers and holds more than half of Earth's free water. All the continents could fit inside its enormous outline. The Atlantic is the second largest ocean basin. It is shaped a little like an elongated letter S, separating the Americas from Europe and Africa. A vast underwater mountain chain, the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, runs down much of its center. The Indian Ocean is the third largest basin and is the warmest on average. It is strongly influenced by monsoon winds, which reverse direction seasonally and have guided trade between Africa, Arabia, India, and Southeast Asia for centuries. The Southern Ocean circles Antarctica without being blocked by a continent. Its powerful Antarctic circumpolar current flows from west to east and connects the Atlantic, Indian, and Pacific basins, helping move heat and nutrients around the planet. The Arctic Ocean is the smallest and shallowest of the 5 named oceans. Much of it is covered by floating sea ice during winter. Unlike land ice, floating ice does not directly raise sea level when it melts. Average ocean depth is about 3,700 meters. If Earth's solid surface were perfectly smooth, with no mountains or trenches, the ocean would cover the entire planet beneath water more than 2 kilometers deep. The deepest known point is Challenger Deep in the Mariana Trench, nearly 11 kilometers below sea level. At that depth, the pressure is more than 1,000 times atmospheric pressure at the surface. Sunlight does not illuminate the entire ocean. The bright upper layer, where enough light supports photosynthesis, is generally limited to the first 200 meters, although clarity, season, and location can change that boundary. Below the sunlit zone lies the twilight zone, roughly 200 to 1,000 meters deep. Light fades rapidly there, yet many animals have large eyes, reflective tissues, or light-producing organs suited to the dim blue surroundings. Below about 1,000 meters, natural sunlight disappears. The deep ocean is almost completely dark, but it is not empty. Animals navigate through smell, touch, pressure changes, sound, and flashes of biological light. Below about 200 meters, much of the open ocean averages only around 4 degrees Celsius. Cold water and immense pressure slow many biological processes, allowing some deep-sea animals to live far longer than related species near the surface. Pressure increases by roughly 1 atmosphere for every 10 meters of depth. Deep-sea animals survive because their bodies contain few compressible air spaces, and their cells are chemically adapted to function under enormous pressure. Ocean water is salty because rain and rivers slowly carry dissolved minerals from rocks to the sea, while seafloor processes add more. Water evaporates, but most dissolved salts remain behind and accumulate over geological time. Average ocean salinity is about 35 parts per thousand. That means a kilogram of typical seawater contains roughly 35 grams of dissolved salts, mostly sodium and chloride ions, along with smaller amounts of many other substances. Salinity is not identical everywhere. Evaporation can make enclosed warm seas saltier, while rainfall, rivers, and melting ice dilute surface water. These differences help determine the density and circulation of seawater. Cold, salty water is denser than warm, fresher water. In high-latitude regions, dense surface water can sink and begin deep currents that travel through ocean basins in a slow global circulation often called the ocean conveyor belt. The global ocean conveyor moves water, heat, dissolved gases, and nutrients around the planet. A complete journey can take many centuries, linking surface climate with the quiet, cold waters of the deep sea. Ocean currents redistribute solar heat. Warm currents can soften the climate of nearby coasts, while cold currents cool and dry other regions. The ocean absorbs and stores far more heat than the atmosphere because water has a high heat capacity. Waves usually move energy rather than carrying the same water across the sea. A floating object often rises, falls, and traces a small circular path as a wave passes beneath it. Most ordinary surface waves are created by wind. Their size depends on wind speed, how long the wind blows, and the uninterrupted distance over which it travels, known to oceanographers as fetch. Tsunamis are not ordinary wind waves. They are long waves caused by sudden displacement of a large volume of water, most often by undersea earthquakes, but sometimes by landslides, volcanic eruptions, or rare impacts. In deep water, a tsunami may be low enough for ships to barely notice, while traveling as fast as a jet aircraft. It grows taller only when it slows and compresses as it reaches shallow coastal water. Most tides result from the gravity of the moon and, to a lesser degree, the sun. As Earth rotates through the tidal pattern, many coasts experience 2 high tides and 2 low tides each lunar day. When the sun, moon, and Earth align near a new or full moon, their gravitational effects combine to produce spring tides. The name refers to water springing higher, not to the season of spring. When the sun and moon pull at right angles near the quarter moons, the tidal range is smaller. These calmer tides are called neap tides and repeat as part of the monthly lunar cycle. The highest tidal ranges occur in places where coastline shape and seafloor depth amplify the tide. Canada's Bay of Fundy can experience a difference of more than 15 meters between low and high water. Sound travels about 4 times faster in seawater than in air. Whales use this property to communicate across great distances, while ships, submarines, and researchers use sonar to detect objects and map the seafloor. Under certain conditions, sound can become trapped in a deep layer called the sound channel and travel extraordinary distances with little loss. Oceanographers discovered this channel during the 20th century. The seafloor is not a flat plain. It contains mountain ranges, volcanoes, plateaus, canyons, trenches, and broad abyssal plains. In relief, the hidden landscape is as varied as the continents above sea level. The mid-ocean ridge system is the longest mountain chain on Earth, stretching for more than 60,000 kilometers. New oceanic crust forms there as molten material rises where tectonic plates move apart. Oceanic crust is continually created at ridges and recycled into Earth's mantle at subduction zones. Because of this renewal, the oldest surviving ocean floor is only about 200 million years old, far younger than ancient continental rocks. Magnetic minerals in cooling seafloor lava preserve the direction of Earth's magnetic field. Symmetrical stripes on either side of mid-ocean ridges became powerful evidence for seafloor spreading and plate tectonics. Most volcanic activity on Earth happens beneath the ocean. Underwater eruptions create new crust, build seamounts, and sometimes produce islands when volcanic peaks rise above the surface. Hawaii began as submarine volcanoes above a long-lived mantle hotspot. As the Pacific Plate moved, it carried older volcanoes away and formed a chain of islands and submerged seamounts that records the plate's direction. Hydrothermal vents form where seawater enters cracks, heats near magma, and returns carrying dissolved minerals. When the hot fluid meets cold seawater, minerals precipitate and can build tall, black, or white chimneys. Some vent fluids exceed 400 degrees Celsius without boiling because the surrounding pressure is so great. They can be acidic and rich in chemicals that would be toxic to many surface organisms. Hydrothermal vent ecosystems do not depend directly on sunlight. Microbes use chemical energy from substances such as hydrogen sulfide to make organic matter through chemosynthesis, forming the base of an unusual food web. Giant tube worms near Pacific vents have no mouth or digestive tract as adults. They house chemosynthetic bacteria inside their bodies and supply those microbes with the chemicals needed to make food. Cold seeps release methane, hydrogen sulfide, or other hydrocarbon-rich fluids at temperatures close to surrounding seawater. Unlike short-lived vents, some seep communities can remain stable for centuries. Wide abyssal plains cover large parts of the deep sea floor. Fine sediment slowly settles there, smoothing older volcanic terrain. Rates can be so slow that a layer only a few centimeters thick may represent thousands of years. Submarine canyons cut through many continental shelves and slopes. Turbidity currents, which are dense underwater flows loaded with sediment, can rush through these canyons and carry material far into the deep ocean. Continental shelves are shallow submerged edges of continents. Though they make up a small part of the ocean's area, their light, nutrients, and varied habitats support a large share of fisheries and coastal ecosystems. The ocean helps regulate Earth's climate by absorbing heat and carbon dioxide. It has taken up much of the excess heat added to the climate system, which reduces atmospheric warming but changes ocean temperature and chemistry. Carbon dioxide dissolves in seawater and reacts to form carbonic acid. As the ocean absorbs more human-produced carbon dioxide, average acidity increases, making it harder for some organisms to build calcium carbonate shells and skeletons. The ocean is not becoming acidic like vinegar. It remains alkaline. The term ocean acidification describes a measurable movement down the pH scale toward greater acidity from its naturally alkaline state. Warmer water generally holds less dissolved oxygen than colder water. Ocean warming, changing circulation, and nutrient pollution can contribute to low oxygen zones where many animals struggle to survive. Roughly half of Earth's annual oxygen production comes from oceanic plankton, algae, and photosynthetic bacteria. Much of that oxygen is also consumed within the ocean, while the atmosphere stores oxygen accumulated over immense spans of time. Prochlorococcus is a microscopic marine cyanobacterium and one of the smallest photosynthetic organisms known. Despite its tiny size, its vast populations make it an important contributor to oxygen production and carbon cycling. Phytoplankton drift with currents in the sunlit ocean. These microscopic producers form the base of many marine food webs and can multiply rapidly when light, temperature, and nutrients are favorable. Zooplankton include tiny animals and the drifting young of larger species. Each night, immense numbers swim toward the surface to feed and descend before daylight, creating Earth's largest daily animal migration by biomass. The twilight zone migration transports carbon downward. Animals eat near the surface, then carry that carbon deeper through respiration, waste, and predation, contributing to a natural process known as the biological carbon pump. Marine snow is a steady fall of organic particles from upper waters. It includes dead plankton, waste, mucus, and fragments of organisms. For many deep-sea creatures, this faint snowfall is the main connection to sunlight far above. Bioluminescence is light made by a chemical reaction inside a living organism. NOAA researchers estimate that about 80% of animals between 200 and 1,000 meters are capable of producing light. Blue bioluminescence is most common because blue-green wavelengths travel farthest through seawater. Animals use living light to attract mates, lure prey, confuse predators, illuminate surroundings, or hide their silhouettes with counter-illumination. Some deep-sea fish carry glowing bacteria in specialized organs. The partnership gives the fish a controllable light source while providing the bacteria with nutrients and a protected place to live. The anglerfish's famous lure is a modified spine containing bioluminescent bacteria. In the darkness, the glowing tip can draw curious prey toward a mouth lined with inward-pointing teeth. Many deep-sea animals are red or black. Red light disappears quickly underwater, so a red animal in the deep ocean may appear nearly invisible against the darkness. Transparent bodies also provide camouflage in open water, where there is nowhere to hide. Jelly-like animals reduce shadows and outlines, making them harder for predators and prey to detect. The giant squid was known from remains and sailors, stories long before scientists filmed one alive in its natural deep-sea habitat. Its enormous eyes help gather faint light and may reveal approaching predators such as sperm whales. Sperm whales are among the deepest diving mammals. They can descend well beyond 1,000 meters in search of squid, using powerful clicks for echolocation in darkness. Cuvier's beaked whales have made the longest confirmed dives recorded for a mammal, lasting more than 3 hours in exceptional cases. Their bodies store oxygen efficiently in blood and muscle, rather than relying on large lungs. Blue whales are the largest animals known to have lived. They can exceed 25 meters in length, yet they feed mainly on krill, filtering enormous mouthfuls of seawater through baleen plates. Krill are small crustaceans that gather in vast swarms. In the Southern Ocean, they transfer energy from phytoplankton to whales, seals, penguins, fish, and seabirds, making them central to the Antarctic food web. Whale falls occur when a whale carcass sinks to the seafloor. One body can feed deep-sea communities for years or decades, progressing from large scavengers to worms, crustaceans, and microbes that use the remaining bones. Greenland sharks are among the longest-lived vertebrates. Radiocarbon studies suggest that some individuals may live for several centuries, growing slowly in the cold North Atlantic and Arctic waters. Sharks are older than trees as an evolutionary lineage. Shark-like fishes existed hundreds of millions of years ago, well before the earliest known forests appeared on land. Sharks detect weak electric fields using sensory pores called ampullae of Lorenzini. These receptors can help them locate hidden prey and may also contribute to navigation through Earth's magnetic field. Octopuses have 3 hearts. 2 pump blood through the gills while 1 pumps it through the body. Their blood uses copper-based hemocyanin, which gives it a blue color when oxygenated. An octopus can change color and skin texture in fractions of a second. Pigment cells called chromatophores work with reflective cells and muscular structures, allowing camouflage and visual communication. Most coral reefs are built by colonies of tiny animals called polyps. Reef-building corals live with photosynthetic algae that supply much of their energy, which is why clear, sunlit, shallow water is important to them. Although tropical coral reefs cover less than 1% of the seafloor, they provide habitat for about a quarter of described marine species during at least part of their lives. Coral bleaching happens when stressed corals lose their symbiotic algae. A bleached coral is not necessarily dead, but prolonged heat stress can starve it and make disease or death more likely. Cold water corals live far below sunlight and do not rely on photosynthetic algae. Some form complex reefs on continental slopes, creating shelter and feeding grounds for fish and invertebrates. Mangrove forests grow along tropical and subtropical coasts. Their tangled roots slow waves, trap sediment, store carbon, and provide nursery habitat for young fish, crabs, and other marine life. Seagrasses are flowering plants, not seaweeds. They grow in shallow coastal waters, form underwater meadows, release oxygen, stabilize sediment, and support animals ranging from tiny snails to dugongs and sea turtles. Kelp is a large brown alga rather than a true plant. Some species can grow astonishingly quickly and form tall underwater forests that shelter fish, sea otters, seals, and countless invertebrates. Sea otters help maintain kelp forests by eating sea urchins. Where otters disappear, urchin numbers can rise and graze entire kelp beds into barren, rocky landscapes. Sea turtles navigate across ocean basins and can return near the beaches where they hatched. Evidence suggests that they sense Earth's magnetic field and use it as a map during long migrations. Salmon imprint on the chemical character of their home streams before entering the ocean. Years later, their sense of smell helps guide them back through rivers to spawning grounds. Many eels perform the opposite journey. European and American eels grow in fresh or coastal waters, then migrate far into the Atlantic to reproduce in the region of the Sargasso Sea. The Sargasso Sea has no land boundaries. Currents of the North Atlantic gyre surround its floating mats of sargassum seaweed, creating a distinctive open ocean habitat. Flying fish do not truly fly, but powerful tail beats launch them from the water. Enlarged fins act like wings, allowing long glides that may help them escape predators. Some fish change sex during their lives. In clownfish groups, the largest individual is female. If she disappears, the breeding male can transform into a female, and another fish becomes the new male. Male seahorses become pregnant. A female transfers eggs into the male's brood pouch, where he fertilizes and protects them until contractions release fully formed young into the water. Penguins are marine birds whose wings evolved into stiff flippers. Their dense bones reduce buoyancy, helping them dive, while tightly packed feathers trap insulating air near the skin. Emperor penguins can dive for more than 20 minutes and reach depths beyond 500 meters. They slow their heart rate and carefully manage stored oxygen during these cold Antarctic dives. Sea ice is a habitat as well as frozen water. Algae grow in channels within the ice, feeding small animals and helping support polar food webs when sunlight returns after winter. Icebergs are made of fresh water because they break from glaciers and ice shelves formed from compacted snow. The visible portion is only a small fraction of the entire mass below the surface. Oceanographers map depth with echo sounding. A ship sends a sound pulse downward and measures the return time from the seafloor. Modern multi-beam systems sweep wide strips and reveal detailed underwater terrain. Satellites can infer broad seafloor features without seeing through the water. Underwater mountains slightly alter Earth's gravity and create subtle bumps in sea surface height that sensitive radar instruments can detect. Remotely operated vehicles remain connected to ships by cables that carry power and data. Pilots on the surface can guide them through deep water, record video, and collect delicate samples with robotic arms. Autonomous underwater vehicles travel without a cable. They follow programmed routes, map large areas, measure water properties, and return to the surface so scientists can recover their observations. Human-occupied submersibles carry researchers directly into the deep sea. In 1960, the bathyscaphe Trieste carried Jacques Piccard and Don Walsh to Challenger Deep, proving people could reach the deepest ocean. More people have since visited Challenger Deep in specially built submersibles, but such journeys remain rare. The craft must resist enormous pressure while supporting life in a cold, dark environment for many hours. Deep-sea discoveries continue because much of the seafloor has not been mapped at modern high resolution. Each expedition can reveal new species, geological formations, shipwrecks, and clues about Earth's climate history. Sediment cores preserve layers of microscopic shells, dust, ash, and chemical signals. By reading these layers, scientists reconstruct changes in ocean temperature, ice volume, currents, and ecosystems across millions of years. The ocean connects every coastline. Water that touches one continent can, through currents and centuries, travel past many others. Heat, salt, nutrients, organisms, and human-made pollution all cross political boundaries. Every breath, meal, cloud, and season is linked to the ocean in some way. It shapes climate, produces oxygen, feeds communities, and holds an immense archive of life and planetary history beneath its moving surface. We have reached the 100th fact, from the brightest surface water to the deepest silent trench. The ocean continues moving while the world sleeps, lifting tides, carrying heat, and sheltering lives that may never see the sun. Imagine once more that quiet shoreline. The tide has moved a little higher, erasing old footprints and smoothing the sand. Somewhere beyond the horizon, the water is passing over ridges, through canyons, and around islands. It is carrying the memory of sunlight into deeper layers and bringing cold, ancient waters slowly toward the surface. A drifting plankton cell, a sleeping turtle, and a distant whale are all held within the same connected ocean. Long after the last sound of this story has faded, those currents will continue their journeys. Some will cross a sea in weeks. Others will wander through darkness for centuries. Their movement is patient, almost beyond the scale of a human lifetime, and There is something peaceful in knowing that it never truly stops. Let the last images soften now into a calm blue distance. You do not need to follow the current any farther. The facts can settle, the water can grow still, and the night can continue without you watching it. Thank you for listening to The Hidden Record. Rest well, breathe gently, and good night.